Faneuil Hall, located near the waterfront and today's Government Center in Boston, Massachusetts, has been a marketplace and a meeting hall since 1743. It was the site of several speeches by Samuel Adams, James Otis, and others encouraging independence from Great Britain. Now it is part of Boston National Historical Park and a well-known stop on the Freedom Trail. It is sometimes referred to as the Cradle of Liberty. In 2008, Faneuil Hall was rated number 4 in America's 25 most visited tourist sites by Forbes Traveler. History: 18th century. After the project of erecting a public market house in Boston had been discussed for some years, merchant Peter Faneuil offered, at a public meeting in 1740, to build a suitable edifice at his own cost as a gift to the town. There was a strong opposition to market houses, and although a vote of thanks was passed unanimously, his offer was accepted by a majority of only 7. Funded in part by profits from slave trading, the building was begun in Dock Square in September of the same year. It was built by artist John Smibert in 1740 to 1742 in the style of an English country market, with an open ground floor serving as the market house, and an assembly room above. According to Sean Hennessy, a National Park Service spokesman, some of Boston's early slave auctions were located near Faneuil Hall. The grasshopper weather vane on top of the hall is a well-known symbol of Boston. See the section Grasshopper Weather Vane below. In 1761 the hall was destroyed by fire, nothing but the brick walls remaining. It was rebuilt by the town in 1762. In 1775, during the British occupation of Boston, it was used for a theatre. 19th century. In 1806, the hall was greatly expanded by Charles Bulfinch, doubling its height and width and adding a third floor. 4 new bays were added, to make 7 in all. The open arcades were enclosed, and the cupola was moved to the opposite end of the building. Bulfinch applied Doric brick pilasters to the lower 2 floors, with Ionic pilasters on the 3rd floor. This renovation added galleries around the assembly hall and increased its height. Neighboring Quincy Market was constructed in 1824–26. Faneuil Hall was entirely rebuilt of non-combustible materials in 1898–1899. 20th and 21st centuries. On October 9, 1960, the building was designated a National Historic Landmark and added to the National Register of Historic Places a number of years later. The ground floor and basement were altered in 1979. The hall was restored again in 1992 and in 1994 designated as a Boston landmark by the Boston Landmarks Commission. Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Faneuil Hall is now part of a larger festival marketplace, Faneuil Hall Marketplace, which includes 3 long granite buildings called North Market, Quincy Market, and South Market, and which now operates as an indoor-outdoor mall and food eatery. It was designed by Benjamin Thompson and Associates and managed by Ashkenazi Acquisition Corp. Its success in the late 1970s led to the emergence of similar marketplaces in other U.S. cities. Uses. On Friday in early August 1890, one of the first black Republican legislators of Boston, Julius Caesar Chappelle, made a speech at the Cradle of Liberty in support of the federal elections bill that would help give blacks the right to vote. Chappelle was a Boston legislator from 1883 to 1886. The Faneuil Hall event was covered by the media in the United States, and the speech by Chappelle appeared in an August 9, 1890, article at the Cradle of Liberty, enthusiastic endorsement of the elections bill. Faneuil Hall again filled with liberty-loving Bostonians to urge a free ballot and fair count. On the front page of the New York Age newspaper on Saturday, August 9, 1890. On November 7, 1979, Faneuil Hall was the site of Sen. Edward M. Kennedy's speech declaring his candidacy for president. On November 3, 2004, Faneuil Hall was the site of Senator John Kerry's concession speech in the 2004 presidential election. On April 11, 2006, Governor Mitt Romney signed Massachusetts' historic healthcare into law with a fife and drum band in Faneuil Hall before 300 ticketed guests. On October 30, 2013, President Barack Obama delivered a defense of the Affordable Care Act from the same spot where Governor Mitt Romney signed his state's expansion of health care in 2006. On November 2, 2014, Boston Mayor Thomas Menino was laid in state at Faneuil Hall following his death on October 30, 2014. The headquarters of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts has been in Faneuil Hall since 1746, currently on the 4th floor. It is also still used for political debates between Massachusetts candidates as well as political shows, such as the O'Reilly Factor. Name. Though Faneuil is a French name, it is anglicized as Faneuil or Faneuil. There is some evidence that it was pronounced quite differently in colonial times, as in funnel. Peter Faneuil's gravestone is marked P. Funnel, although the inscription was added long after his burial. Boston area locals will often use the term Faneuil Hall or Faneuil to refer to the entire surrounding neighborhood, particularly as a landmark for its vibrant nightlife. Building elements. Bell. The bell was repaired in 2007 by spraying the frozen clapper with WD-40 over the course of a week and attaching a row. Prior to this repair, the last known ringing of the bell with its clapper was at the end of World War II in 1945, though it had since been rung several times by striking with a mallet. Grasshopper weather vane. The gilded grasshopper weather vane on top of the building was created by Deacon Shem Drown in 1742. Gilded with a gold leaf. The copper weather vane weighs 80 pounds and is 4 feet long. The weather vane is believed to be modelled after the grasshopper weather vane on the London Royal Exchange, based upon the family crest of Thomas Gresham. Public art and landscape artwork. The area between the eastern end of Faneuil Hall and Congress Street is part of Boston National Historical Park. In this landscape is a 19th-century sculpture of Samuel Adams created by sculptor and poet Anne Whitney. The granite plaza surface is marked for 850 feet with the approximate location of the early colonial shoreline c. 1630. The street layout and building plot plan designations from an 1820 map are shown by etched dashed lines and changes from pink granite to gray granite paving slabs. The shoreline marking artwork entitled A Once and Future Shoreline is made with etched silhouettes of seaweed, seagrass, fish, shells and other materials found along a high tide line. Art within Faneuil Hall includes many paintings and sculpture busts of Revolutionary War activists, pre-Civil War abolitionists, and political leaders. Timeline of events. 1761 Hall burned down. 1762 Hall rebuilt. 1767 October 28 Petition to boycott imported goods signed. 1773 December 3 Meeting about tea. Lately arrived on the ship Eleanor, Captain James Bruce, Samuel Adams, Jonathan Williams, and others present. 1806 Building remodeled and expanded by Charles Bulfinch. 1826 August 2 Daniel Webster eulogizes John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. 1831 July 11 Timothy Fuller speaks at the request of the Suffolk Anti-Masonic Committee. 1834 September 6 Edward Everett eulogizes Lafayette. 1837 Wendell Phillips speaks first exhibition and fair of the Massachusetts Charitable Mechanic Association. 1839 Peleg Sprague stumps for candidate William Henry Harrison. 1843 July 4 Charles Francis Adams, Sr., speaks. 1848 April 15 Edward Everett eulogizes John Quincy Adams. 1854 May 26 After arrest of Anthony Burns, public meeting to secure justice for a man claimed as a slave by a Virginia kidnapper, and imprisoned in Boston courthouse, in defiance of the laws of Massachusetts. 1863 April 18 Andrew Jackson Hamilton, of Texas, speaks at the war meeting. 1865 Jan. 9 Edward Everett speaks on the relief of the suffering people of Savannah. 1876 June 7 meeting in favor of public parks. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sr., and others speak. 1878 August 1 indignation meeting to protest against the injury done to the freedom of the press by the conviction and imprisonment of Ezra H. Haywood. 1887 October 29 Eben Norton Horsford speaks on occasion of the unveiling of Anne Whitney's Leif Erikson statue. 1890 Friday, early August, Julius Caesar Chappelle, Republican legislator of Boston, Massachusetts, one of the first black legislators in the United States, makes a speech that was printed in the New York Age newspaper's front-page article, at the Cradle of Liberty, on August 9, 1890. 1903 March 4 Frederick J. Stimson debates James A. Carey. March 19 Protest against the suppression of truth about the Philippines. 1909 May 32 Grand Division or Convention. 1974 Weather vane stolen, then returned. 1992 Building restored. 2012 La Level and First Level completely renovated by Eastern General Contractors, Inc. of Springfield, Massachusetts. Gallery.